together and play some music.
Okay.
Because it seems like
Deal.
late at night everybody's sort of fizzles.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah?
Yep, yep.
'Cause I gotta take a break.
Yeah, you've been doing it, man. So here I am. I've decided to do a little bit more pencil. Isn't that weird? Which, in a way, kind of shows you that I really am treating this pencil stuff as a art element, as a design element. I'm doing the pencil because I like the juxtaposition of soft edges and liney stuff. I started doing the pencil about a year and a half ago while I was doing a whole bunch of abstracts paintings. And so I started using the pencils in the abstract paintings, discovered I liked the effect so well that I then incorporated it into my regular stuff, my regular painting, and I'm still enjoying it. So just coming in here and just doing a little bit more liney stuff. Okay, now I'm ready to go to the final layer, which is light opaque highlights, fairly hard edge, the lightest stuff, lightest, brightest, whitest stuff, and colorful. Okay, where to start? I think I'm going to start this time. It's always this last layer is always a debate about internal debate about where to start. I think I'm going to start this time with the lightest, what I call the lightest, brightest, whitest stuff. And now that I'm doing opaque-ish paints, I'm also very careful about how much of the pencil to cover up. What I mean by that, I'm careful to cover up quite a bit of the pencil marks because I don't want this to look like a drawing. I don't want it to look like a painted drawing. Does that make sense? I want it to look like a painting, a very painterly painting with just little bits of that pencil peeking through here and there. So in other words, the pencil does not get the last word in my style of painting. The paint does. Paint gets the last word. This is also the heaviest layer of paint by far. And it's for that reason, it's a number of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe, I can't remember how long ago, I started using Alkyd titanium white. Alkyd all the time for this last layer because I want to be able to slap it down pretty thick and not have it take 6 weeks to dry, which, if you know anything about straight titanium white, can easily be the case. Titanium white can easily take 6 weeks to dry. And my painting lifestyle does not admit of 6-week drying times. I want this painting to be sold on Friday. There is a stair banister in this photograph, right about there. I don't know why it's there, but in the photograph I'm looking at, it seems to play a significant visual role. So I've certainly, as you can see, decided to keep it. The angle of it is very significant. Angles are very important in all paintings, and as this painting is perfectly typical, as you see, most of the lines horizontal, 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 right? Horizontal, vertical, vertical, vertical. So the occasional, sort of the trees angles are important. That branch, these trunks, and that become those elements become quite important. So let me run by you again. So in this final stage, final phase, if for the two of you who are trying to paint like me, the question is always, where do you start with this final layer? Where do you start in the final layer? And the answer is 4 options. One is I'll start with this one, since this is what I'm doing right here today. One of the options is to start with the lightest, brightest, whitest things, and go from there. Another option is to start with the furthest away things, sky, and come forward. Another option is to start with any, usually large, local color. That would be, in this case, like this building is a very distinct aqua turquoise color. And sometimes you feel like you really can't proceed with the painting until that local color thing is nailed down. Okay, having done that now, I am going to proceed to sky. I didn't name 4, did I? Okay, right, 4. Here we go. Where do you start? Lightest, farthest away sky, local color, or focal point. And I'm not sure exactly where the focal point is, here or here. Probably here. So I, in fact, started with the focal point this time, as well as the lightest, brightest, whitest thing. Now I want to move to the sky. And I have to break a rule here. The rule I have to break is, lights first, darks first, lights last, which would dictate that when you're painting a sky, you start at the dark sky and come down this way. Darks first, lights last. The problem is, in this particular case, that blue sky is way too far outside the focal point. I don't want to draw, I don't know how much attention that area should deserve. I won't know that until I get up there. So I have to do this backwards, which is light sky first, dark sky second. Now that rule, darks first, lights last, applies in all kinds of areas. That's just one crazy application of that principle. It's a good principle to know and to keep in mind. And I mention it because here I am, I'm having to violate that rule because I have competing, sometimes you have competing rules, principles, competing with each other, and you have to decide which one gets the preeminence. Not always easy to decide. I'm taking, by the way, tons of freedom in here. I mean, everything in here is who knows what. I'm hardly looking at the photograph at all. I glance at it once in a while, but I don't really care what that is. There is a building back here, and it's going to have some red letters up here at the top of it. Those red letters will be adequate to communicate to the locals. Oh yeah, that's Smacknally's is the name of it. I think it's a hamburger joint bar Grill, you know, seaside bar called Smack. Now, very distinctive look. And if I put a hint of red there, the locals will recognize what the building is. They'll recognize these two buildings easily and this sign. That's enough. All this other stuff in here doesn't really matter what it is. Let's talk about sky holes for a minute, okay? If you've been around painters very long or read much, you know, you've heard about sky holes, right? It's these, you paint the sky color on top of the tree color. One of the reasons sky holes work, one of the abstract reasons, is because our eyes, human eyes, get a kick out of being tricked or fooled by what's on top of what. We get tricked by this kind of, now because the sky, we know the sky is far away and the trees are up close, but when the sky paint is closer and the tree paint is further away, our brain gets a little kick out of that confusion. So everybody, all beginner painters, all know, oh yeah, sky holes, sky holes. And if you're a painter, if you're a beginner, and you've tried it, and the effect was not quite what you wasn't quite what you wanted. I laugh because welcome to the club. Okay, so sky holes, they look like they'd be so easy. They look like, doggone, I can do that. That's easy. And then you try it, and it looks like, and you go, I don't think I'm doing it right. The answer is no, you're not doing it right. Okay, a couple things about sky holes. First of all, it doesn't work unless the holes that you are making in the tree over here match the color of the sky. Okay, I know that sounds really dumb, but some people miss that. The holes have to be exactly the same color as whatever sky you can see around the tree. You know, where the tree isn't. Like, the tree isn't here. That's the color that has to be over here. In fact, I've got some problems here right now, don't I? Because I switched this color. So that's number one, needs to be out here. Number two, in theory, sky holes should be mostly soft edged. Are you with me? Mostly they should have soft edges in theory. And after you get really good at them, you will do them with soft edges. But listen to me. I know this is crazy, but I have yet to find one beginner painter. I don't know what to call some of you guys. Starters, beginners, emerging. Let's say emerging, okay? I've yet to find an emerging painter who paints his or her sky holes sharp enough. So, like, if you read an article somewhere saying, we believe sky holes should be soft-edged, if you're a beginner, ignore that advice. Ignore it. No, make your sky holes sharp and crisp. Because the absolutely universal tendency of students is to make their sky holes way too fuzzy. They look like horrible brush strokes. They don't look like sky holes. They look like disasters of brush strokes, and the reason is because they're not hard edged enough. Okay, so till you get good at them, make them kind of hard edged, and then you can begin to soften up. Okay, number three. Okay, number one, make them the same color as the sky. And again, I'm embarrassed that I have to say that, but evidently we do. Make them the same color as the sky. There's a lot of laughter going on in the room over there. Number one, same color as sky. Number two, hard edge, harder than you think. And number three, the hardest part is in order to do sky holes accurately, you need to know what a tree looks like. You need to know what a tree looks like. And just go to YouTube and you know, type in how to draw a tree, how to paint a tree, or something like that. Because I'm positive there's some. I'm not positive. I'm quite positive there are going to be some really good YouTube videos that talk about what trees look like. So you have to learn, because when you're doing sky holes, what you're actually doing is negative painting a tree. And many of you, you can't convincingly positive paint a tree. Are you with me? You can't do it the easy way. Your trees don't look like trees. Now, the reason is simply because you haven't studied and done enough sketches of trees. That's all. Not because you're dumb. It's just because, well, you are dumb if you don't do that. But it's, the reason that you're not good at it is simply because you haven't practiced much drawing or sketching trees. Sketching is the key word again. So learn what trees look like, and until you can paint a convincing positive tree, good luck trying to paint a convincing negative tree. Are you with me? When you're doing sky hole. Hey, I don't know when I lost you. I turned around there and all of a sudden my video had stopped. So forgive me, I've been talking. I just gave the most brilliant lecture in the world about sky holes, and I don't know if any of it I'm being facetious about the most brilliant in the world. But I was talking for a long time about sky holes, and now I don't know if you got that. But I'm moving on from there. I was going to say the way to paint any highly variegated subject matter, that's faces, hair, bushes, grass, trees, clouds, any busy thing, bushes, fuzz, clouds, foliage, grass, skin tone, if you're doing a really up close skin tone, the way to render anything like that, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, just stick around, you'll find out how humble I really am. Take my word for it. I'm the most humble guy you know. The way to paint any highly variegated, sorry for the big word, but that's what that word means, highly variegated subject is in layers, stages, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you may know, this tree so far is roughly 8 layers of work, and it's not done yet, necessarily. No, it's not done yet. It's close. It's very close. I'm pretty happy with those trees. I'm not going to do much. Let me go ahead and do a little bit right now, since I'm talking about the trees. I just want to do one last thing with them before I quit, and that is come in here and do some green. Okay, so some medium dark, medium tone, mid-tone green. Partly to cover up some of the pencil lines that there are too much of. Partly just to add variety. A tree, of course, there's sunlight coming through this tree, and most of the sunlight, of course, is being blocked by the foliage, in front of it. But I'm bringing the picture back up. But some of the sunlight is, escaped, snuck through, and is hitting some of these leaves and creating this nice dimensional, atmospheric feel. One of the biggest challenges for painting trees is, of course, trees are dimensional. They're real thick. The farthest branches and the closest branches could be 40, 50, 60 feet apart. And here you are trying to capture that on a flat surface. So they're quite a trick. And one of the ways to do that is what I'm trying to do right now, is just to add a little bit of variegation, variety of tone. Okay, I think I'm done with that. Again, preaching to myself here. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Nelson, watch out, watch out, watch out. Do not paint any more than you have to. Don't explain any more than you need to. I'm going to do the front of this house has to be a really, really bright turquoise, and maybe the side also a darker turquoise. I'm going to put some color on these people, which I just realized I should have done that in the fuzz layer. I want to fix up this guy on a bicycle. I got two guys on a bicycle, one there and one there. And then I will be very close to finished. Very close. So let's see. Let's take it one at a time. I want to do this house because it's irritating me until I can't proceed until I get that more finished. So I'm trying to mix up here a medium light turquoise color. I think that's the best name for it. And forgive me, my palette is a mess. I'm gonna point you at my palette, I guess, for just a minute. I hope I remember to, just so you can see what I'm doing. It's a glass palette. I'm using a razor blade. To clean off all this stuff, because I've simply run out of room for mixing. There is, I don't think there's any perfect palette solution. I like disposable palettes. That's one option. It's a good option. Has its downsides. I like glass palette that you scrape. That's one solution. Has its downsides. I've used plenty of traditional wooden, traditional palettes. They have a whole bunch of downsides. I know some artists, rather than waste all this paint that I'm scraping up and throwing, they collect it all and mix it all together and call it Torrid Gray. That's another option. I just got paint all over my fingers. In a few minutes, I'm actually going to go in and wash off my fingers. I just got an unacceptable amount of paint and Turpenoid on my fingers. So, if you're looking for the perfect palette solution, don't look at me, because I don't think there is such a thing. Every solution, every option has a downside. But I seem to like glass the best, so I'm probably gonna. Well, the downside of it is, of course, it's a little bit heavy. Some people don't want to carry this much weight. It's heavy. It keeps it from blowing away in the wind. That's one of the things I like about it. And the other thing, of course, it can break. I've got 2 broken ones at home, waiting to be repaired. So they're not. I built this myself. I don't know if anybody sells them like this. Not that I know of. So there you go. That's another downside. Okay, let's get back up to the painting now. Or back up to my face, as the case may be. By the way, I'm so sorry. My tripod began to fall apart today. So it's a little bit less controlled than normal. Okay, what I want to do here is wow, you hear that wind? It's been windy here all day, but it sounds like it might be picking up again. Okay, I'm mixing up some phthalo blue and some viridian green to try to get a nice, hot, bright aqua color. Yeah. Okay, so this is going on this side of this house. Oh, needs to be a little greener.